and welcome to another Under the Night Sky. My name is Robin. Tonight we're going to explore the constellation of Perseus the hero. I'll talk about how to find Perseus, some deep sky objects located in the constellation, and a myth associated with Perseus. By late October, the sun is setting at just about 6:30. By 7:30, look to the northeast. It will be dark enough and Perseus will be high enough that you can see the entire constellation. The darker your sky, the better. However, Perseus can be a bit hard to see. Not only are the stars faint, but the constellation doesn't exactly look like a man or a hero. This is the outline drawn by my planetarium software. I have another way to see the constellation. I like to look for a fancy capital A in these stars, as shown on the right. It's fancy because of the curl on the left side. Use whichever way is easiest for you to see, or come up with your own way of seeing Perseus in these stars. If you're familiar with the constellation of Cassiopeia, the Queen, she can help you locate Perseus in the sky. Cassiopeia is at the top of this image. She has a very easy to recognize W shape, and the stars forming the W are bright. We're going to use these two stars in Cassiopeia. And drawing a straight line through them, we see that our line points to the star at the top of Perseus' head. Perseus will be higher up in the sky each evening in late autumn and winter when you go out to see him. Perseus is a circumpolar constellation. Because of where we are located in northeast Ohio at a latitude of about 40 degrees north, all the constellations within this blue circle never set for us. We can see them every night of the year. The top part of Perseus, his head, is in this circle. This is Perseus at 7:30. If you stay up and watch through the night, you see Perseus circling Polaris, our North Star. This is 12:30 in the morning. This is 3:30 in the morning and 6:30 in the morning. After 6:30, you'll start to lose Perseus in the morning twilight and sunrise. The brightest star in Perseus is Mirfak, an Arabic word meaning elbow. Also designated as Alpha Persei, Mirfak is 510 light years distant and is the brightest star in the open cluster Meteor 20, a cluster easily visible in binoculars. Mirfak was born a hot blue star. This type of star burns hard and fast. At only 41 million years old, it's now a supergiant star in the later stages of its evolution, shining with a yellow-white glow. Mirfak is huge and quite massive. It's more than 100 times bigger than our sun and more than 5,000 times brighter than our sun. Meteor 20, also called the Alpha Persei moving group, is a cluster of loosely gravitationally bound stars that move in the same general direction through space and were born from the same cloud of gas and dust. The estimated age of the cluster is 50 to 70 million years old. The second brightest star in Perseus is Algol, the demon star. Algol is perhaps the most interesting star in the fall and winter skies. Lying about 90 light years away, it's an eclipsing binary star, two stars orbiting each other. With a hot blue-white star called Algol A, about 3 times the diameter of our sun, and a cooler yellow-orange star called Algol B that is becoming a red giant. The two are very close, causing them to revolve around each other very quickly. In Algol's case, every 2.867 days. This is an artist impression of a double star similar to Algol, showing a smaller, brighter star and its companion, a larger, dimmer star. This is an Algol-type binary star. You can see that the yellow star is larger than the blue star. When the yellow star eclipses the blue star, the system is dimmer. And when the blue star eclipses the yellow star, the system is brighter. Algol's stars are oriented nearly edge-on such that, from our perspective, the smaller star regularly passes in front of the larger one, as shown here. This is a graphical representation of this eclipsing binary. The cycle from one eclipse to another has a period of 2 days, 20 hours, and 48.8 minutes. It has a visual magnitude range of about 2 to 3.3. Magnitude is a measure of brightness. The lower the magnitude, the brighter the star. Algol appears only 1/3 as bright as it would normally appear during the peak of the eclipse, when Algol B passes in front of Algol A. Most of the time, Algol's light appears constant, but for about 4 hours, its light varies noticeably when Algol A passes in front of Algol B. This brightening and dimming of Algol can be seen with the unaided eye, and you can watch it from your backyard. No binoculars or telescope needed. If you would like to observe Algol brighten and dim, you can find tables of these minima, as they're called, in astronomy magazines and websites. To observe eclipses, find the date and time of a predicted minimum and start observing maybe an hour or two before that time. Look about every half hour. Over a few hours following the minimum, Algol will slowly brighten back to its normal state. The ancients didn't understand why this star regularly brightened and dimmed. What wasn't understood was feared. The ancient Arabs called this star Algol, meaning the demon. In Greek myths, Algol is the head of Medusa, the snake-haired Gorgon sister, another type of demon. To many cultures, Algol represented misfortune. The ancients gave this star a bad rap. Today, astronomers use eclipsing binaries like Algol to make direct determination of stellar brightness and mass that help them refine theories and mathematical models of how stars work. Let's move on to some deep sky objects. The first objects are NGC 869 and NGC 884, a double star cluster just off the head of Perseus. Both are open star clusters whose members are loosely bound together by gravity. NGC 869 on the left is 7,000 light years away, and NGC 884 on the right is 8,100 light years away. While quite distant from us, the clusters are relatively close to each other, being separated by only 1,100 light years. The age of the clusters is also similar. NGC 869 is around 13 million years old, and NGC 884 is around 12.5 million years old. The physical closeness of these clusters and their ages is evidence that both clusters formed in the same star-forming region. If you have a dark sky, these clusters are visible with the naked eye. They look like a bright smudge against the winter Milky Way. This is a photo taken by Dr. James Rudick, one of our astronomy club members. On the right, you can see the double cluster. This is what they would look like in binoculars, two bright bunchings of stars. On the right is the Heart Nebula. You'll learn more about it when I talk about the constellation of Cassiopeia. Next is Algol 426, a galaxy cluster containing thousands of galaxies immersed in a vast cloud of multi-million degree gas. Called the Perseus Cluster, it is one of the most massive objects in the known universe. Just about every object in this photo is a galaxy. The cluster is about 240 million light years away and is moving away from us at 12 million miles per hour. A few of the galaxies in this cluster are visible in this ESA NASA Hubble image. The bright galaxy on the upper left is a lenticular or lens-shaped galaxy, and the galaxy on the lower left is a side-on spiral. Both are about 350 million light years from Earth. This is galaxy NGC 1275, located about 237 million light years away at the center of the Perseus Cluster. It's made up of two galaxies, a large spiral galaxy having a large halo of stars, and what is called a high-velocity system, or HVS, moving rapidly toward the spiral galaxy. Although still 200,000 light years from the spiral galaxy, the HVS is causing tidal interactions. At the center of NGC 1275 is an active supermassive black hole having the mass of approximately 800 million suns. Here we have NGC 1499, an emission nebula called the California Nebula. Emission nebulae are clouds of ionized gas that give off their light at optical wavelengths. One of the most common types of emission nebula occur when an interstellar gas cloud, made mostly of neutral hydrogen atoms, is ionized by the radiation of a nearby O or B type star. That's what we have here. The nebula is being ionized by the bright star Zi Persei, also known as Menkib, just at the bottom center of the nebula. And lastly, we have NGC 1333, a reflection nebula. In reflection nebulae, ionized gas from forming stars is reflecting off the dust in the nebula. NGC 1333 is a young region of very active star formation. Two clusters of stars have formed, one near the red end of the nebula and the other in the yellow and green end in the densest part of the cloud. The knotty yellow-green features located in the lower portion of the cloud are glowing shock fronts where jets of material spewed from extremely young embryonic stars are plowing into the cold, dense gas nearby. Perseus has amazing deep sky objects, and I could show you so many more. But I do need to move on. As I've been talking, maybe you're thinking there's something else about Perseus, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Maybe you're thinking about the Perseid meteor shower. The Perseid meteor shower is the most popular shower of the year, and the best part is you don't need any special equipment to see them, just your eyes. The Perseid meteor shower occurs when the Earth passes through the debris stream left behind by Comet 109P Swift-Tuttle, a periodic comet which returns to the inner solar system every 133 years. You can spot Perseid meteors from about mid-July through August, with the peak, when you can see the most meteors, in early August. For those with clear dark skies and no light pollution, around 50 to 75 meteors per hour may be seen. We can see more meteors after midnight because we are facing the debris field as we move through it. And this shower is known to produce rich, bright streaks and more fireballs than any other annual meteor shower. A meteor shower doesn't get its name from its parent comet, but from the constellation they appear to originate from. Meteor showers seem to fly away or radiate from a common point in the sky called a radiant. The Perseid meteors appear to radiate from the constellation Perseus, giving them their name. Moving on to mythology, this time of year I like to tell the story of Perseus the hero, told in the stars of autumn. And I'm going to tell this story like we're sitting in the planetarium. Perseus lived with his mother Danae on the island of Seriphus. The island was ruled by King Polydectes. Polydectes was not a good king. He didn't take care of his island or his people. He cared only about himself. Polydectes wanted Danae to marry him, and every time he asked, she said no. Perseus was very protective of his mother and defended her from the king, telling him that if his mother said no, she meant no. The king knew that as long as Perseus was around, he could never force Danae to marry him. So he came up with a plan. He spread the story that he was going to marry another woman. He demanded that everyone on the island give him and his bride horses as a wedding present. Perseus didn't own horses, and he couldn't afford to buy one. So instead, Polydectes told Perseus to bring him the head of Medusa. Medusa was one of the three Gorgon sisters, hideous creatures who had tusks, claws of brass, golden wings, and bodies covered in dragon scales. Medusa also had snakes for hair and was the only mortal sister, meaning she could be killed. Anyone looking at Medusa would be turned to stone. This was a dangerous quest, but Perseus could not refuse the king. He had to bring the king Medusa's head or die trying. However, Polydectes didn't know that Perseus was the son of Zeus and that he had many friends on Mount Olympus to help him on his quest. Athena gave him a bronze shield so polished he could see his reflection in it. Hermes, the messenger god, gave him a pair of winged sandals. Vulcan, god of the forge, gave him a sword made of diamond that could cut through anything. Hades gave him a helmet of invisibility. When wearing it, no one and no thing could see him. And they gave him a purse, a small bag he could hang on his belt. The purse would expand in size to carry anything, no matter how big. With these gifts, Perseus set out to get Medusa's head. Using the winged sandals, Perseus flew to the island where the Gorgons lived. As he approached, he could see people and animals that had been turned to stone. A lesser man would have turned and run, but not Perseus. He hid and waited for darkness. Once it was dark and the Gorgons were asleep, he put on the helmet of invisibility. He then walked backward toward the sleeping Medusa, using her reflection in his shield to guide him. He could not be turned to stone by a reflection. Using his sword, he lopped off her head and grabbed it up by the slithering, spitting snakes and put it in his purse, which covered it completely. Because even in death, looking at Medusa would turn him to stone. Then, using his winged sandals, he flew away, leaving the other two sisters screeching behind him. As Perseus lopped off Medusa's head, drops of her blood fell into the ocean. Poseidon, god of the sea, recognized them immediately as Medusa. Medusa had not always been a hideous creature. She was once a beautiful maiden that Poseidon had loved. Remembering her beauty, he raised her drops of blood from the sea and mixed them with white foam from the ocean's waves and sand from the beach, and created the winged horse Pegasus. This is why we only see the front half of Pegasus in the sky. He is rising from the sea. Perseus was on his way home when he saw this beautiful maiden chained to the rocks near the sea. How did this happen? Well, Cassiopeia, queen of Ethiopia, had been bragging. Being an incredibly vain woman, she bragged that she was the most beautiful being on earth. The sea nymphs heard her brag, and, well, everyone knew that they were the most beautiful beings on earth. So they went to their father Poseidon and said, "Dad, do something about her." Well, Poseidon would do anything for his nymphs. They had him wrapped around their little fingers. He sent Cetus the sea monster to destroy the kingdom of Cassiopeia and her husband King Cepheus. Cepheus could not undo what his wife had done. The only way to stop the destruction of their kingdom and its people was to sacrifice their beautiful daughter Andromeda to the sea monster. With unbearable sadness, they chained Andromeda to the rocks. This is where Perseus comes in. He sees Andromeda and he sees Cetus rushing toward her. He tells Andromeda to close her eyes. He gets in front of Cetus, waves his arms, and says, "Hey, look over here!" As Cetus looks at him, Perseus closes his eyes and pulls Medusa's head out of the purse, turning Cetus immediately into stone. Cassiopeia and Cepheus are so grateful for Perseus saving their daughter's life that they offer him Andromeda's hand in marriage. Perseus accepts. After the wedding, Perseus takes his new wife and heads home. When he gets back to his island, he finds his mother in hiding. As I'm sure you suspected, the king never stopped his attempts to marry Danae. Angry, Perseus went to the king's castle and threw open the doors to the throne room where the king was holding court. The king went pale when he saw Perseus. He never thought he would see him again. Perseus said, "I bring you your prize," closed his eyes and pulled the Medusa's head out. The king and everyone in the chamber were immediately turned to stone. Perseus then declared Dictys, the dead king's brother, the new king of Seriphus. Under Dictys' rule, the island and her people flourished. Perseus saved Andromeda, he saved his mother, and he saved his home. No greater hero could there be. I hope you've enjoyed this telling of the Perseus story. Well, that's it for this Under the Night Sky. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed exploring Perseus the hero with me. Join me next month when we explore the constellation Orija the Charioteer.